Hi, welcome to this demo of Spectrum Protect Plus cloned window protection. In version 10.1.10, we enabled file-level backup support of cloned Windows virtual machines for both VMware and Hyper-V. In this demo, I'll first clone two virtual machines from a template and then register those virtual machines inside of Spectrum Protect Plus. Do backups. I'll destroy some files on one of the original machines and then do a restore. And this will show that Spectrum Protect Plus does treat these clone machines as unique machines and is able to recognize their different IP addresses, their different files. I will then show you another scenario where if you were to clone a machine from a virtual machine that's already registered to Spectrum Protect Plus and already backed up to Spectrum Protect Plus, meaning that the Spectrum Protect Plus file system agent has been installed on that virtual machine. So when you create that clone, you will need to go out to the clones registry and make some updates to the Spectrum Protect Plus agent part of the registry. And this is so that when you register that cloned virtual machine to Spectrum Protect Plus, it sees it as a unique virtual machine. The way that it does this underneath the covers is that by deleting off that registry entry, when you register the new cloned machine to Spectrum Protect Plus and you run an inventory on it, Spectrum Protect Plus will create a unique primary key that indicates this is a unique virtual machine. And just to be clear, in this demo I am not showing how to take backups of a broken host and restore those to another cloned host. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and get started with the demo. First, we're going to create two clones from a template, and obviously this template was never backed up to Spectrum Protect Plus, never utilized with Spectrum Protect Plus. So inside of VMware vSphere client, I'm going to go to the template SPVM or 125 clone. I'm going to select to create a new virtual machine. I'm going to deploy from template, click next. I'll choose a data center and the template SPVM 125 clone. Go ahead and click next. Then I'll choose virtual machine name, and in this case I'm going to give it the virtual machine name SPVM-133 clone test 2. And I'll click next. Then go ahead and select the compute resources, click next. Go ahead and select storage, click next. And then I'm going to choose to power on the VM after creation, click next, click finish. Okay, we can see that the SPM 133 clone test 2 is being created. It's going to start up here in a few minutes. Now that creation of the 133 clone is complete, I'm going to go ahead and log on to that VM, and obviously I'll be using the original address as specified in the template, which is going to be ending with 125. Okay, once I've connected and logged on to this new cloned virtual machine, I'm going to go into the server manager and change the address for Ethernet 0. I'm going to specify a new IP address, this time ending with 133. I'll go ahead and click OK. That's going to kick me out of that machine. I've lost connection. So now I need to log on again, and this time I'm going to log on with the 133 IP address. And I can go in there and verify the new IP address and rename the PC. So I'm going to call it SPVM133 clone 2, and then click restart now. Okay, I've gone through this same process and created another clone, in this case named 132, from the same template. And so if I log on to that 132, you can see that there are some files already out there. Likewise, on the 133 machine, we'll create some test files with unique names so that we can easily differentiate them from the 132 files. So you can see side by side here the 132 and the 133 clone, both which came from the 125 template, and both which now have unique test files on them for our testing procedure. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and log on to Spectrum Protect Plus user interface. I'm going to register the two clones, so I'm going to go into Manage Protection, File Systems, and then I'm going to click on Manage File Servers. I'll first of all add in the 132 clone, so I'll type in the host address, the user ID, and the password. I'll go ahead and click Save, and then click OK once it's been successfully created. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the 133 clone. I'll enter the host address, the user ID, and once again the password, and then go ahead and click Save. And once that has been registered with Spectrum Protect Plus, go ahead and click OK. And here you see both the 132 and 133 servers. And if we go back to the Jobs and Operations panel, there is an inventory running on each of these servers. Okay, now that the inventories are complete, let's go back to Manage Protection, File Systems. You'll see those two new servers that we just added in. And if we go ahead and click on them, we're going to select an SLA policy for those servers. You can set up a SLA policy so that it's for the entire server, or you can set it up for just one specific drive. So we'll do both here. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and kick off a backup job. We'll start a job for both the 132 and the 133 clone server. So click Create Job, click Ad Hoc Backup, choose the SLA, click Next, and then go ahead and choose one of the servers and add in the source files. So we'll go and click 132 and then click Next, review that and click Start. Okay, we can click OK there. And now we're going to redo that for the second backup. So once again, we're going to create an ad hoc backup for this specific SLA. This time we're going to choose the 133 server. Go ahead and click Next and then OK. And now if we go into the Jobs and Operation tabs, you'll see that we have two backups running. So we'll go ahead and wait for those to finish. Okay, the first backup finished, so we can go out and modify the files on that 132 server so that it looks like the files were destroyed. So when we log on to that 132 server, we're going to create a new directory, we'll call it History, and we'll move all of the original files into that directory. Back on Spectrum Protect Plus, we'll see that the other job finished, so we will do the same with the files on the 133 server and move them into a temporary directory just to emulate a failure. We'll now create a job to do a restore. So click Create Job, Restore. This is going to be a file system. You're going to select the source file system. In this case, it's going to be the 132E drive that we backed up. Go ahead and add that source and then click Next. You're then going to choose the source snapshot, and this will be the correct date here, the one we just backed up. Click Next. Go ahead and review that, and then you're going to click OK. You'll see that the on-demand restore is running. Okay, so we've loaded the restore inventory. If you go to Active Resources and click on this particular resource and then say Open the Agent, go ahead and click Advanced, Accept the Risks, and this will take us to the File Level Restore GUI. So from here, we'll choose the E drive. We can see the three files that we backed up. We'll select a couple of them and add them to our restore list. And then we'll go ahead and click Restore to kick off this file level restore back to the original E drive. If we open up the 132 virtual machine, you'll see that those two files have been restored to the E directory. If we take a look at the 133 machine, nothing's been restored there as expected. So what I've just showed you is you can take a template, you can clone machines, you can register those machines into Spectrum Protect Plus, and then Spectrum Protect Plus will recognize that those are unique individual virtual machines and be able to properly back up and restore files to each of them. Now I'm going to change gears and I'm going to show you what happens if you want to clone a virtual machine that's already registered to Spectrum Protect Plus. We've already done backups against it, so there's already a file system agent out on that virtual machine. And in this case, we have to do a couple steps on the clone machine before you register it to Spectrum Protect Plus, so that when you do register it to Spectrum Protect Plus, it is granted its own Spectrum Protect Plus primary key, and Spectrum Protect Plus is able to properly back it up and restore it. This virtual machine was cloned from a virtual machine already registered and backed up by Spectrum Protect Plus. So before we registered this virtual machine to Spectrum Protect Plus, we need to go into the registry and locate the IBM Spectrum Protect Plus agent registry entry. You'll then need to delete that Spectrum Protect Plus entry. And now if you look at that, entry has been removed from the registry. So now that I've deleted the Spectrum Protect Plus agent registry entry from the newly cloned virtual machine, I'm going back into Spectrum Protect Plus and I'm going to register that virtual machine to Spectrum Protect Plus. So I'll enter the host address, the user ID, and the password for that newly cloned machine. And now if I switch back and look at that machine and drop down into the registry once again, you'll see that that Spectrum Protect Plus agent registry entry is once again present. Underneath the cover, Spectrum Protect Plus has registered a unique prime key. You can see this if you go into job history, click on the application server inventory, click on job log. I can then download that as a zip file. And if I open up that zip file, I can see in this job log on line 24, the primary key that was registered for this new virtual machine when we registered it to Spectrum Protect Plus. Behind the scenes, I copied onto the clipboard there the prime key for the virtual machine we used to clone this other machine from. So you can compare the two keys and see that Spectrum Protect Plus does recognize and treat these as unique virtual machines. Okay, so in summary, if you do plan to clone a virtual machine already registered to Spectrum Protect Plus, meaning that it has a file and system agent already installed on it, don't forget to go into the cloned machines registry and remove the Spectrum Protect Plus agent key that will be present once the cloning is finished. After that key is removed, you can then register that clone also to Spectrum Protect Plus, and the primary key that Spectrum Protect assigns to it will be different than the primary key of the original VM that you cloned it from. And thus your backups and restores will work correctly. Thank you very much.